Hello and welcome Running with God. I'm Janae, I'm your host, and I have a guest with me today. This is
Jericho.
This is Jericho, and it's good to have you with us, Jericho. We're going to do something with the Passover. Today we're going to go over what memories people normally have, especially if they've been raised as a believer, whenever they first start going over the Passover as a kid. And of course, this is Jericho. She is my daughter, and we're going to go over what she remembers from the symbolism and references. And this will help you with your kids, and we hope that you'll be able to share it with your grandkids this Passover as we go over things. So what are some of the questions that they might have had then going through this first Passover and that they would have today?
Why are we, or you, putting the lamb's blood on our doorposts? And then, of course, the answer would be because we were told to kill the lamb and sprinkle the blood on the doorpost, and then they would explain why the day is called Passover, which would explain the other reason why we put the blood on the doorpost. And
what would that be?
That the angel of death would see it and then pass over it.
Pass over it. So the angel of death would see the blood that represented what?
Jesus.
The blood of
In
Jesus.
the future.
Yeah, in the future, by representation of the lamb, because the lamb was pure and what?
Unblemished.
Unblemished, with no sin. Okay. And what is the next thing that they might have said that you have?
Why do we eat bitter herbs and unleavened bread? They were told to basically get everything in the kitchen sink together before they could go, and so they had to make things in a hurry. And they actually had to stay inside their houses because the thing was passing. And so the unleavened bread, they had to cook it really fast. And the bitter herbs had to do with remembering the things they had been through. The bitter herbs was the memory of the bondage, but then being set free from it, and like, you're here, but now you're at that point where you're not going to be there anymore. You remember it, but you go on. And
they actually dip the herbs in salt water to remember the tears as well. And you're talking about the unleavened bread. That also has to do with removing sin from our life, because the leaven represents sin. So they had to prepare themselves for what was to come and to become obedient to the Lord once again. As they are doing this, they're removing everything. Today, they still do this. They go to the house and remove all of anything that has leaven in it, because it does represent that sin. What do you remember about the first time whenever you dipped that in there? They also have horseradish with it. And what do you do with the horseradish?
you eat the horseradish.
Yeah, and the horseradish,
It's like wasabi. It's very hot.
and it makes your eyes water so that you can remember the tears, doesn't it?
Yes, and then you have the herb with the salt water on it too. You were talking about removing the yeast, and I got to remembering one of the deals I had posted not too long ago. Remove the yeast for the beast.
Remove the yeast for the beast?
No, removing the yeast of the beast.
Okay. Removing the yeast of the beast. Well, the beast is who?
Satan.
Yeah, we don't want anything of him in our lives. There's also something else that they have that's called kroset. It's a mixture of nuts and apples and spices and honey. And what did that represent, Jericho?
The bittersweetness of the situation they were in, the remembering the good with the bad, the being free, and what they used to do.
Which was make mortar, and you mix that together, and that's what it represents, because we can't find anything that's good to eat that would represent mortar. We don't want to necessarily eat something that's like mud, right?
No.
So, but the herbs in it make it a brown color, and it does remind them of what they were forced to do while they were in bondage, and that also reminds us as believers what we were in bondage to before we met Christ. Okay, what else do you have on here?
Okay, we've got the bitter herbs, the shoe or flatbread,
Which is matzah bread.
and then also the preparation of getting things tended to and getting out of there is to, I guess, roast the lamb. They had lamb, and the other parts of the preparation is like, okay, like I said, get your stuff together. You have your staff in hand, your feet with your shoes, and just wait and get ready, and then just
Ready to go. And you and I should be ready to go to be with the Lord at any time if He calls us, shouldn't we?
yeah.
The matzah bread, the flat bread. Do you remember what's on it? What's on that bread?
The stripes.
The stripes are on that bread, and there's a specific number of stripes. And what do they represent?
The stripes represent what happened to Jesus whenever he was flogged. And the holes were whenever he got pierced.
Okay. So there are stripes, and there are holes on the flat matzah. It looks like a giant cracker like this. I'll try to find some pictures to insert. And they represented whenever Jesus was pierced. You thought about getting the staff in hand and everything.
It's kind of like the I think it's the bridesmaids at the ready with the lamps at the gate. You have the foolish ones, and then you have the ones that have them filled and ready and preparation, and like what are the pages based off of running the course. I think it was Hebrews 12:1.
Okay.
Race the good race, or fight the good fight, and keep going. And striving to be better or do better.
And I want to interject here because you were talking about being ready and being the bride and everything, and telling, even though people belong to the house of Israel, if they did not obey and come into the covering of that blood, what would happen to them whenever the angel of death came?
Their firstborn of their house, it didn't matter whether it was their animals or a young person in the family or an older person. It wasn't a discretion thing. It happened to go in and, well, gone. They're gone.
Yeah, if they didn't obey the Lord. It's the same thing with us. We can call ourselves anything we want to. We can be part of a family that calls themselves believers or part of Israel, but if we do not keep the ways of the Lord and don't obey Him, then we're really not part of Him, and we're not protected by that blood, are we?
Right. That's why God asked for discretion, and testing the spirits and making sure things are kosher, correct, not out of place, jot or tittle in the correct order.
So this gets to a point here. This may be controversial to you. It's not really to me. A lot of people say, well, no matter what, my child is going to be okay if something happens to it, even if it's a baby. Were the babies covered if the blood wasn't there?
No.
So the mom and the dad is not covering that baby. Here's that baby covered.
No.
Was the lambs and the sheep and the goats and the chickens covered?
Mm-mm.
No, it has to do with whether or not whoever was an authority was covering them. You see, the Lord is our covering, and we have the responsibility to cover our children until they become accountable. And people may argue with me, but that is the truth. Until the age of accountability, and that is varying according to the person. Till the age of accountability, the mother and the father are the ones that cover that child. The Word also tells us that the believing spouse will cover the unbelieving spouse until the time comes, and that's why there's blessings in a home where both people do not always serve the Lord, but their children are covered as long as one of them is covered. So they're brought into the protection of the Lord because they obeyed and put the blood of the Lamb over the doorpost. Now, do you remember whenever the mother, because that's who normally does it, lights the candles at the beginning, what happens, or why she does it?
Well, the female version of the beanie and the prayer shawl and the candles are set out a certain way. The match, the long match or whichever you have, and sometimes they'll pull the smoke, and sometimes they'll do it like this, but they pray like they would if they were at the wall in Israel, or Jerusalem, I should say.
And with the candles, why only can a woman do it?
Because she's the teacher, and because whenever God cursed the snake, it was the woman seed that was going to crush the head of the snake.
And Eve, and then going to Mary, which bore Jesus, who is the what of the world?
The light, and is the Passover lamb.
So she lights the candles, represents the fact that a woman brought forth the light of the world. And there's no man included in that at all, because God the Father was the Father, and so therefore there's no need for representation for a man to light those candles, is there? No. And there is a deal that you will find on here when it comes to creation and the story of Nephilim in the fall. If you go, you'll see why we say that the woman was important into bringing back part of redemption in the redemption story. So, the lighting the candles, points us to the light, which is Jesus, or Yeshua HaMashiach, our Passover, what? Lamb. Passover Lamb. God bless you. Thank you, Jericho, for joining me today, and maybe we'll be able to do something like this again.
Love y'all.